It's the first match of the major, ladies and gentlemen. DarkZero versus SSG on Consulate.
Well, let's get right into it, folks. We've got the bans coming out real quick here. Thatcher is going to get knocked off the board. Not too much in terms of a surprise there. We've been seeing both Thatcher and Maverick be an incredibly common ban here to start things out. So maybe not going to see Maverick specifically because it's Consulate. There's a lot of different playstyles that come into play specifically on certain sites on Consulate. So instead, we're going to have a Nomad ban coming in as the second one here.
Not bad at all, especially because it allows you to get more aggressive to the outside of the building. Mute coming in as well. Mute's a very nice pick on Consulate, especially because his mute jammers can mute parts of the building that his mute jammers aren't even on if you're allowed to put it on raised surfaces. Echo going to come in for the last ban. Just a good ban overall. Echo's a very annoying operator, especially with someone that is very good with that kit.
All right, guys, and that'll take us through the ban phase. Get us started here with the very first round between these teams. Let's take a look and see how things are going to go, and more importantly, which site we're going to start off on. This has been a map where we started to see teams, move away from the normal meta choices for sites necessarily when it comes to where they're starting out on. But it looks like we're not going to stray from that too much here for the first round. DZ is going to go right to the basement site to start things off.
See if any 6 picks come in here. We're actually going to be switching off of the Maestro from Skies, keeping the mirror locked in, but that's something that we've seen rudimentarily brought downstairs. Throw that in the kitchen as well as security office and have a good time holding down garage. Going to shift things though. As the mute's been taken away, they want to pick up the Mozzie. More than likely to support the Vigil game, but we might not even see a roam. We'll have to see exactly where Eclipse is going to set up shop.
Right, so reinforcements, more than likely expect those to be pretty straightforward for DZ here. Not much reason that we would see, at least with regard to this operator lineup, where that would be varied. So that means you're going to have this middle reinforcement along with the mirror window going up into security. That's what Hot and Cold just set up on the right side of your screen over there. Also be having the garage set up. Now you'll note that there's not a bandit or a Kaid here to try and deny entries onto the garage. And that's just due to the fact that oftentimes it's way too difficult to try and go for any sort of tricking, with using those wall denial ops. That's usually why you want to bring them. You're normally not going to want to necessarily bring those into the fold if you're just using the default utility, because it can very easily be dealt with by attackers. And since it's very easy to deal with that generally as an attacker on this one, just with, a sledge or a buck, but a Zofia, of course, getting access to piano, it's generally not always worth it to bring that wall denial when it comes to this site.
Well, DarkZero set up with 2 men downstairs, Mitten, Hot, and Cold, assigned to hold down the garage. Have a roam game upstairs as well, but for right now, SSG just going for the garage panels. This might be a quick execute here. We'll have to see exactly what they find on these drones and see how they want to handle this situation.
And of course, noting this breach, note the drone getting pushed in as well, so that's going to put some additional pressure onto the players in the back, but Skies will still have a forward position just to the back of White Van, and more likely that'll be able to deny any huge pushes to the inside. SSG, of course, are still looking for an option to be able to do that regardless, with Canadian at the helm of this push, obviously, since he has the diffuser. A little bit more drone work possibly to be done, and more importantly, they've already gotten both these walls open within the first minute of the round. Pretty much no pressure against them right now to try and force this early, but if they want to do that, that's perfectly within their line of play right now. There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to do it. They would just have to watch out for the setup, since they don't have a 3-dimensional way to approach this. This would basically just be a singular angle that they'd be working from.
Yeah, as well as with the Nomad ban being in play, somebody's more than likely going to have to hold down yellow, or these rotations could possibly be caught off guard by Eclipse on that Vigil. Did recently see him upstairs inside of piano, but he is shifted away from there. We'll have to see how SSG is going to continue this, but for right now, still poised outside of the garage. No entry into the building by a single soul of the offense so far.
Fultz going to be holding out once again, still looking for any sort of picks they may be able to get to start this execute off with a bit of a bang, quite literally, if they can get a kill from it, but so far, nothing being found, so we're going to continue to stand by here. Rampy does have utility getting prepped, and a nade is also getting wound up here. So here we go. Block off the mirror windows. That's where they're expecting most of the resistance to come from, and that's a pretty astute assessment there from SSG, as now they're going to be able to move in. Canadian trying to force the issue on the plant. Nitro cell goes out, but it's way off base, as we're going to see Canadian go for the plant, and middle goes off without a hitch, and he's going to run right out. Even keeps himself alive as well. Perfect plant from SSG, and now they have an incredibly powerful post plant.
Very strong setup here from SSG. This is going to be almost impossible for DarkZero to handle. Sees the mirror on yellow stairs, but Folt's not able to capitalize on that situation. Bosco and the rest of SSG now bearing down onto the garage panels that they've blown open, and every single one of the DarkZero members loses their life off of the back of a great offensive round from SSG. It took a while to warm up, but after they got the intel that they needed, Rampy had some great usage with those arrows, used his entire kit right there to lock down all of the rotations and break line of sight.
Great stuff, and a very one-sided affair to start things off. Not a great sign for DZ, but a perfect sign for SSG. Not even necessarily doing anything that crazy either. A very straightforward approach to the attack on a basement site, and it works out flawlessly. Definitely leaving us a little bit waiting for about a minute or so there as they tried to get ready for the execute. I was starting to get a bit worried considering there wasn't a whole lot of map control being gained by SSG besides the opening there, but they made it work regardless. So great stuff from them.
Well, the follow-up to the round is going to be going back downstairs, but this time, excuse me, the sixth pick is not going to be off of the Maestro. It's going to be getting rid of the Vigil. Eclipse onto the Bandit now, more than likely to deny the walls. Don't want SSG to get that too quickly this time, especially since Thatcher's off the board. He can at least finagle with the walls for a short while before somebody more than likely peeks him from yellow.
Yeah, this is the better part of bringing the wall denials, that at least it's going to force SSG to take some interior map control now compared to the previous round where they just didn't really seem to need that whatsoever, even in the post plan, due to the fact that DarkZero didn't have any roam set up upstairs or on the first floor. There's not much resistance to the hold outside of garage, so SSG was able to approach it in that very straightforward way. I would imagine that that's going to be different this time though, so you can expect a much more traditional approach to the round from SSG.
I would completely agree with you. I think that the big thing from that first round again was just the breaking of the line of sights on the Mira from Rampy with those smoke bolts from the Capitao.
Yeah,
that really allowed them to plant wherever they wanted to because no one was allowed to rotate out there to get any extra information. And since they six-picked away from the Maestro, they had nothing in sight that had visual on where that plant was going down. They just assumed that it was going to be default at the front of white van. But as we know with SSG, they really like to bring that mixed bag into play. They want to plant in, areas people aren't exactly used to, so the utility lands in proper areas.
Let's see Hyper going hunting a little bit here, trying to see if anyone from SSG was looking to get access to Visa this early on, but not going to happen. So he's going to end up hunting out a couple drones for himself here too, as he's also trying to deny that intel, since, as we mentioned previously, SSG is now going for a bit more map control and, more importantly, a bit more map clearance. You can already see 1 to 2 of their members on the second floor. Bosco most notably, and I think he's got one other player with him. Rampy's also on the upside down rappel just out by the balcony by projector.
Oh, Skies waiting for the sledge above inside of short. Going to be Bosco, waits for the flick, but not able to capitalize on that. Unlucky for him, but Bosco still upstairs breaking up this flooring. Good roam clear here for him, or just establishment of dominance over these staircases that are so important on Consulate. Still have a extended roam here from DarkZero, or at least one member off of site. That's going to be Eclipse inside of the B1 stalls area. Still playing that Bandit, but nowhere near the wall, but that's expected. Especially with how those batteries work. It'll be a little bit too close to those walls for comfort when putting those down. And that's a pretty easy kill for the offense if they're able to find the angle.
Bolts with a little bit of an opportunity there to try to get a shot off onto Skies, but not going to take it. Wants to remain anonymous in this situation. Holding just outside of those yellow stair doors. Away from that, got a nice little breach here too from Houghton to try and see if he can spot anyone on the other side that was created by Thinking Nate just a few seconds ago, so he can also use it for his advantages here. So SSG with pretty much full map control outside of the basement, and now this is a very similar situation to what we had last round, but obviously the timing is much different. They only have 40 seconds left on the clock this time compared to 2 minutes. And SSG is still working on opening up that second panel. In a moment, though, they'll have it open, and they'll be clear to try and go for the execute. And with more control, they should hopefully be able to do it in a much more straightforward fashion, not necessarily needing to use the Capitao utility, which was so quintessential to their success in the last round. Houghton's going to resist that push, however, with an immediate shutdown of Rampy as he tries to move himself in through that garage breach.
That's a huge pick here. Canadian has to stick the plant, though. We'll have to see if the utility falls in the proper area. He's going to be able to stick it through unless Hotten's able to stop him. He eventually does. We'll have to see if he jumps immediately onto the diffuser, and he will. Taking damage from the smoke, but still lasting out. Somebody needs to check the diffuser right now. Hotten, can you get it? Oh, Bosco checks it just in time and steals that round out from under him.
Hotten, though, a valiant attempt, nearly sneaks the ninja defuse in there, but it is heard by Bosco, and thankfully he is able to stop it for SSG's sake. So they'll take the second round. Things going very swimmingly at the moment for SSG on their attack, although a great attempt from DZ to resist it. Unfortunately, just not enough impact coming in the early round there, so you still had the full force pushing in, and even after the initial pick was found by their Mira, not enough to stem the tide and prevent the plants. Those gas grenade charges were a little off, it seemed, at least on the initial one there, so Troy was still able to find the plant through that.
Yeah, very smart once again, just shifting where you're putting that diffuser down so that they have to pick and choose exactly where you're going to be using that. And the smoke was just a touch late, as you were saying. The Toxic Babe just a touch off its mark. But SSG overall having a very good round there with the map control, not forcing sight too early, and then using their utility as well as the angles they created to shut down those rotates in order to bring DarkZero out of their setups downstairs, forcing them forward to try and stop that plant while getting all of those kills in the process. It was a very quick action there as well. It seemed that Hotten left all of his friends there to die while he went to try and stop a diffuser from going down, and he was the only man left alive when he arrived.
Yeah, like I said, valiant attempt, had an opportunity, right? So might as well try and take it there if the opportunity presents itself. Just not necessarily going to work out in his favor that time due to the post-plant hold that SSG had already established for themselves up into Piano. Speaking of Piano, that'll be one of the sites we'll move into now for DarkZero as they will finally attempt a different one. Basement, unfortunately, just not working out too well for them on those two initial attempts, so they will start moving to different sites to try to find success on their defensive side. Now, once again, this is going to be a bit of an interesting site in the way that it is played out. One of the two sites is very difficult to directly play to the inside. That's lobby. That's why you'll see a lot of the defenses for DarkZero be set up slightly to the west side of that, with a lot of emphasis both on the central bathroom hold there for Skies and slightly on the inside of Pan. Also a bit of upstairs action to be found more than likely throughout this round too, as that'll be very important for post plants and the capability for SSG to potentially get on site and start their plant too.
Well, for SSG, it's actually a pretty standard take when it comes to Consulate. Be clearing from east to west here, getting the default cams along the way in the process. Cameras out already for SSG as they're clearing out this top floor, and they are definitely going to need to drone out these DarkZero members. They have quite the setup up here, have a reinforcement towards CEO, as well as some presence inside of Projector. So it looks like these two DarkZero members are going to be working in tandem to try and assist each other. They also have Hyper on the Maestro at the top of Yellow Stairs.
I'm continuing to dwindle here. And SSG still a lot of drone work being done as they try to fish out the roaming presence from DarkZero that's currently on the second floor. Most notably the ones in Projector here that we can already see. Eclipse gonna get challenged in a moment if he's not careful. He uses one of the toxic gas grenades to throw that out onto the balcony and deny the upside down repel for looking for a quick pick on either him or Mint. He will get scared though after throwing that out and decides it's a better option right now to fall back and play deeper into the sights, noting both the time and the pressure coming in along with the fact that Mint is also, well, at least until that moment, holding on the inside of Connector. Bolts will execute him. First kill of the round goes over to SSG. Doesn't stay that way for long, though. Hyper finds a nice exchange on the Canadian from the inside of Yellow Stairs and brings us back down into a 4v4.
Well, sub-minute now for SSG. They have map control, but diffusers left on roof, as well as their hard destruction gone, all except for Thinking Nade. Hot and Cold with a nice pick onto Rampy as well means that man advantage currently in DarkZero's favor. Now they have to lean on that timer and try and slow down SSG as much as possible. For SSG, they need these picks, and they might have just been gifted one as Hot and Cold walks down Spiral and gets deleted by Bosco. Bye-bye your ankles, Hotten. Very unfortunate for him.
Also, that's going to set up an angle to punish anyone pushing outside of the bathrooms in the middle. Skies, that means he'll be the only one holding on the site itself. But without an active watch onto that breach, as you can see, their sledge still moving around looking for more opportunities. It's going to leave the way open here for more freedom for the DarkZero players to move. Eclipse, most notably, they're coming out of Spiral. It's going to be able to punish member of SSG down to the last 10 seconds here. Now it's a desperate push here. Fultz just throwing out the Zofia charges every which way. A 1-for-1 exchange on site, but there is no time left for Bosco. So DarkZero will end it out, I think, with a kill there at the final second as Hyper claims it. And with that, they'll finally get their first round onto the board.
Even with those early picks, SSG still making their presence known inside of this round and at least bringing it down to the wire. 1v2 situation, nice pickup of kills there by the SSG members, but it just was not enough. Really good utility usage there from Fultz as well, expending all of that before he ended up dying. Moving into the next round, though, looks like we're going to be headed towards split. We'll have to see if DarkZero is able to slow down SSG like they did in this previous round. Did a very good job with the top presence, able to slow down that push. They got poked quite a bit early on, but were still able to keep man advantage up, mainly because of the rotations off of that top hold, specifically from the smoke.
Yeah, credit to DarkZero on that round specifically. Not necessarily a whole lot of playing into the top-down angles that SSG were opening up, and that saved quite a few of their players, kept them in play until later on in the round. Interesting pick coming into this round, of course. I'm sure you guys have already noticed it, but for those who have not, got an Oryx coming out right now on Hyper. So this will be very interesting to see how it plays. Obviously, Oryx has a great potential to work really well on the site just because the sites are on separate floors. Oryx is the only defender with the capability to jump through hatches, so that kind of speaks for itself with regards to how he can be useful. Now, specifically where they're going to apply him, that is yet to be seen, as there's quite a few different positions where Hyper can play into here.
Yeah, the man has a 6-foot vertical leap. Can you believe that? He's like, I believe he's, if I remember correctly, 6'4", 250. With like a 5-foot vertical leap, 6-foot vertical leap. Extremely impressive physique there from Oryx, but amazing operator. We don't get to see him used too often. Obviously, he is more of a ranked S kind of operator with his soft destructibility taking a little bit of damage when you use it, as well as that dash being able to get you out of some fights and that passive ability that you were just talking about. We haven't seen him have an overly impactful round inside of pro play yet, but this could be the game changer that we've needed. Obviously, with him in play, a lot of hatches are going to be open. He's going to be able to transition floors and get these flanks that SSG could not be expecting.
Yeah, Oryx very much in an experimental phase right now when it comes to seeing him at pro play, so there's not necessarily an established meta for where he is going to be used, which means it's always interesting when he comes into the picture, since he is the newest operator to be added to the competitive pool as of late. So, seeing how this is going to play out now. SSG once again focusing very heavily on the top tier to start things out, at least with their initial entry players. That's Fultz and Bosco moving in order to clear that out for themselves. Oh, this could be great from Skies, though. Fultz catching it at the last second, but not quick enough. Does not move fast enough. So Skies is going to find that initial kill from the C4, as is so often the case with these split holds.
Yeah, especially on console, you have to watch your feet, and as you said, the split side is definitely known for its nitro cell play. Sky's still rocking that cardiac sensor, getting all this intel for his team. The early pick works off, especially with how impactful Fultz has been on the game so far. Need to see some of the other members step up inside of the fragging department, specifically Ramping off to a cold start early on here, but that doesn't exactly mean that he's out of the game just yet. Still plenty of map left here, and Rampy definitely can have an impact in these rounds. Bosco popping off, though. 5-1-1, but as the timer continues to dwindle, SSG trying to find some space to work with. They have the top floor, but they still have to worry about these DarkZero members downstairs with those explosives.
Sky's going hunting, of course, with that heartbeat sensor, looking to see if he can detect anyone from SSG. Not getting a lot right now, though. SSG just not playing into his play path at the moment, where he's trying to position that. And at the same time, we are going to see members of the attacking force get in, getting some good control very close to the upstairs side, as you can see. Great surrounding control over this one, but they're not going to be safe to planet, because if they try to go for it, there is still that nitro cell alive on mid that they'd have to worry about. Or there is a safe position to plan in that regard, but there's also a few other factors that they're going to have to worry about too. So this is why there's a delay, despite the fact that SSG seem to have full site control right now on the first floor.
Yeah, there's so much soft destruction down here from DarkZero as well, as we can see a pretty cheeky angle being held by one of the DZ members downstairs. SSG is going to have to play into that, sadly, and that's exactly what you get. Canadian peeks in, gets his head removed from mid. Eclipse capitalizes as well. Bosco working his way down spiral, but gets caught off guard by Sky's laying prone inside of the security hallway double. It's all down to Rampy as he runs inside of kitchen. Only 6 seconds remain as he twists and turns inside of the kitchen, but he's not even able to find himself a participation trophy, or at least a part. What? Okay, never mind. I take it all back. I take it all back. Very nice shot there from Rampy, but it's exactly that. It's a nice shot, participation trophy for the round, but it's DZ's victory instead.
Rampy might want to pick up some lottery tickets if he's hitting headshots like those, man. Just lining up through the wall right there for him. Obviously not having much of an impact on the actual round at that point, since we still see DZ coming out on top, but still fun nonetheless to take a peek at that. At the end of the day, though, once again, just not enough pressure from SSG coming onto the basement hold, at least not enough until very late in the round, when we saw that kill from, I think it was Skies on the Pulse, crouching right at the bottom of Spiral. Once that kill was made, that's pretty much the end of it right there, as SSG just does not have enough firing power to force the basement defenders out of position and then open up room for their planter on the first floor to get that onto the ground. That's why, again, that I mentioned there was so much hesitation with the plant, because there's still so much counterplay coming from the basement, even with 0 players being on that floor.
Yeah, it's basically like moonwalking on a field full of landmines. You don't exactly want to do that.
Yeah.
So not going to work out for you in quite a few different fashions, especially if you like your limbs attached to your body. So reinforcements now for DarkZero downstairs. Looking to be a very similar setup here. They've dropped the Mira, though. Hot and cold now on the Kaid instead. Not switching over to the Bandit for Eclipse this time, so we should see some roam presence here from Skies in Eclipse. I don't see SSG getting away with handling this outside of the building at all, unless this Electro Claws, for some reason, miscalculated on the triple, but for DarkZero, I definitely don't see that one happening. More than likely going to be a full clear here for SSG, but as we saw the last time that they went to this site, they're quite successful in doing so.
Yeah, even with the expanded presence across the map here, SSG was still able to take this. Both the attacks they've won so far have been against the basement hold here, so if we're going to be going back into more of that, that's room for SSG to potentially pick up more rounds. That there hasn't been good adjustments for DarkZero. Now note, quite a bit of an upstairs hold the last time DarkZero went to this site. It's not as heavy this time. It's mainly, all the roam presence is going to come down to their vigil play at the moment on Eclipse right there. Away from that, they haven't really put a whole lot extra out. Actually, I'm just noticing Skies has moved up here as well, so it is pretty equal to what we had on previous rounds, and in fact, even pushed forward. So never mind, just completely ignore me here. We've got Hyper on yellow stairs too, so they've actually doubled down on the roam game a little bit when it comes to their upstairs play. I'm curious to see how quickly or how slowly this is going to be peeled back to the actual site. As SSG dealt with this pretty handily, but that was mainly because one of the players that was on the roam game fell back, leaving the player in connector to fend for himself, and he was very quickly isolated at that point. So if, adding the 2 extra players to it is going to add that extra element of danger for the member of SSG that is tasked with hunting this down.
Yeah, but that's the thing about SSG, though, right? Is they're so good at capitalizing, or clearing out these roam games without making a large margin of error. And that's something that we've already seen inside of this matchup. Well, specifically the last time that they cleared top floor. They were able to get quite a few picks early on and really didn't lose anybody very early. Oh, but it is going to be an immediate trade here between 2. Hyper ends up getting traded out, but he takes down Fultz. That's a very big kill here, especially with Fultz's impact on the game so far and what we're expecting to have him do for the rest of the day. But that actually leaves us on pretty equal footing here. Quite an equal trade, all except for Fultz losing a little bit of quite impactful utility. Eclipse waiting until the very last second, but oh no!
Oh no!
Was not accounting for Rampy inside of lobby.
Didn't expect that to be an assisted drone with the player right behind it. More importantly, they didn't expect the Capital to be right next to it. So, unfortunate play there leads to the loss of another player. And that is going to put SSG into a good position to continue finding impact. Nades go down. That'll open up the breach potential. Houghton does have himself another Electric Claw, though, so he can deny this when Canadian initially goes for the breach. We're going to see Rampy in the meanwhile pick up another kill, though. That eliminates Skies. That was the last bit of the roaming presence, so it's all coming down to the anchors on site now. Mitten, hot and cold, holding against 4 players still alive from SSG. Didn't even see resistance come out there on the Electric Claw from Houghton. Actually, it looks like he did throw it, but it was destroyed more than likely by the player in yellow. Good swing from Houghton. Catches on to the sound intel very quickly. Goes for the Nitro Cell kill. He's completely surrounded. Nothing he can do here, so he'll go down. Mitt, thankfully, will be able to take out at least one with him, bringing this into a 1v2. And the good news for Mitt is that this is going down to a very low time situation, and he still has 2 gas grenade charges. If he gets this off in the right spot, he could potentially deny the plant, but I don't know if that's happening right now. Rampy still going for it, and I believe it'll be successful. It's on the ground. He's made it out, and now this post plant is going to be so difficult for Mint to overcome.
Almost impossible here with 2 members still alive from SSG, especially Bosco upstairs, but Mint knows that he wants to peek these holes. Safely playing this, but he has to choose right on where he goes. Can he win it out with the SMG-11? He cannot. Rampy shuts it down. That's a triple for him on the round. Most impactful round he's had so far on Consulate. SSG's offense is absolutely vicious.
especially when it comes to these basement attacks, especially so far. 3 for 3 on that one. For the other sites, not necessarily so much. That's where DZ has been having a lot more success. And thankfully for them, they've just unlocked one of those for play. So it's back to Lobby and Piano for the final round of their defensive half. The final round, final chance for them to try and tie this up at 3-3. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at a dominant SSG lead coming off their attacking side at 4-2 in their favor.
Walking back at Rampy.
Hello? No, is
Don't bait
baiting
me.
that though? He's like
That's why I'm
spamming the
waiting.
picks.
I'm just waiting. Let's just wait. Hold on. One.
No, he's
Mint.
committed.
Okay. All right.
He's not
all right.
changing that.
Okay.
All right.
They took away all of my talking points. They really did. I was going to talk about the bandit setup from the last time inside of the bathroom and how I thought that was pretty cool because of the bands and what they did with that. But that doesn't even matter anymore because they're going for the Jaeger while Mike combo. Going to try and burn through all of this utility on the offense. But the most notable thing that we need to talk about is Rampy because he is on Nook. Nook is an operator that's quite unique to this game. She kind of plays like you're playing, Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid. She's a very sneaky character. She's actually able to hide herself from cameras with her little wristwatch thing. And when she clicks that, she is hidden unless she sprints. Then you see a glitch on your screen or if she moves through barbed wire or next to a mute jammer. She also has the FMG9 and some frag grenades, so she falls into the line of those throwable utilities that they're going to be looking to burn. But the question that I have is, why is SSG bringing her? I want to see what their application is with her on this round and see exactly what they wanted to do with her or, how they want to use her here on Consulate. Is it going to be more for that roam clear or is it going to be pure site presence?
Yeah, pay very close attention to Rampy here. He's going to be more than likely on the front lines of this attack, trying to find impact if he's brought the knock into play for this round. Drones are already working their way through to the inside of admin, and I believe through Visa as well, as we had one going up the hot in there before it got shot. The moment here, they're going to see the setup once again. They'll see the hold from Eclipse, primarily in Projector. He more than likely won't be holding here alone. We'll have to pay attention to if Houghton or if other players are going to be in position to try and support him as this round goes further and further. Eclipse is a very important position, especially if SSG are opting to try and execute through the front door into the consulate itself, as he can throw those grenades, the gas charges rather, he can throw those right through the floorboards of the room he's currently occupying and deny access to the plant from the front door.
Oh, it's like a match made in heaven upstairs for Rampy. Really no barbed wire to worry about. Cameras, though, to definitely worry about, but it does seem as though Hyper wants to face check long, which could mean demise for Rampy if he chooses incorrectly on where his pathing is. But just remember, he can hide from those cameras once again, so you could see some cheeky play come out here. Thinking Nade now going to launch some X-Kairos onto the projector wall, and it seems like some of them are going to go off, which is going to push Eclipse to leave projector. Does not want to get caught off guard in there with multiple angles to worry about.
The pressure force off. Rampy more than likely not necessarily needed on that operator for the rest of the round now, so we've kind of passed that moment. Still a few players he could clear out, though, if he's able to sneak up. But as you said, there's not much that the ability from Nook is going to play into here. So moving away from that, though, Fultz has found some success. Houghton looked like he went for a window peek or a peek somewhere else, and we were going to be able to see that punished by SSG as they finally net themselves the first kill of the round. It's going to continue as Rampy does finally get some success here, catching out Mint, potentially on a retreat. Hyper is still in the area, but further down yellow stairs now, so Rampy will be clear to push this and get closer and closer to Piano. SSG do need to speed this up potentially a little bit, though. They have the 5v3, but they need to inch closer to the plant, as they're only with 45 seconds left on the round here, and they haven't really even touched the sites yet.
That's the thing about SSG, though. With all that vertical play, they're usually able to lock down the rotation paths through the sites in order to get these picks early on. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Skies tries to rotate through the bathroom door, but Bosco's already set up on it. Gets him yet another kill. Knocks it down into a 2 versus 5 for the defense. But with 20 seconds remaining, this is still winnable. They just need to be able to stop this plant. But where's SSG going to go for it? That's the big question. Diffuser still on Canadian's person. Frag grenade in. Hyper lined up with the Alda. 81 rounds in the chamber. He gets the first kill, but the plant's already going down in a very peculiar spot from Canadian. He's tight left. Hyper not even paying attention, but finally finds him, ends up getting the kill, goes prone, and locks out the round for DZ. What a play from Hyper.
Fortunately, SSG forcing themselves into unfamiliar territory, at least for that round, within the very last 15 to 20 seconds as they try to force out the plant. Trying to establish alternate positions leaves their planter exposed, as the one who was originally supposed to support him goes down just on the initial pick there that we saw from the Maestro. As a result of that, no time left to get a second player on that counter defuse or just outright kill the Maestro and the defenders pick up the final round. So it's going to be 3-3 at halftime. Switching sides now, DZ is going to jump onto the attack, and this game is neck and neck right now.
It is indeed. And looking through that last round there, let's talk about the Nook a little bit. I don't think that the Nook had that much of an impact. It did end up getting the kill onto, I believe, Mint, who was playing the Wamai. But either way, it was indeed Wamai inside of Connector upstairs. But that was really the only impact that Rampy had over that round. But even with that, it seemed as though they could still have handled it with really any other operator, mainly because Hyper wasn't at the top of yellow to be able to assist them with front desk at all. It was truly a one-man show with Wamai sitting inside of the Connector for at least that time frame. So for that, yeah, you six-picked it, you played the operator, but it really didn't have as much of an impact as anything else could have possibly have had. Just overall from SSG, a little bit too slow on the execution when it eventually came down to lobby. But very, very nice by DarkZero, specifically Hyper, to capitalize on that situation, especially with that kill over the circle desk to be able to lock that one out.
I think that the Maestro that we had on the upstairs toilets in the previous round did a lot to limit the potential impact from the Nook in that one as well. Just considering, you mentioned at one point, like that was a really rough angle for the Nook to potentially be going up against. That, along with the reinforcements, just didn't really leave a whole lot that that player could do upstairs, and I think limited the operator's potential by quite a bit. Because, you know, even if he's using the ability and whatnot, it's still, he's going to be dealing with a player pretty much any way he peaks. That's just not necessarily the way you want to play that operator with a bunch of heads-up fights.
Exactly, and I think the biggest thing there is that if they didn't have Hyper there that was face checking long pretty often, they more than likely would have been able to capitalize on that, right? But with him there and his presence, you know, obviously moving back and forth between there, you don't want to risk that by pushing up Rampy by himself. You'd much rather have him play the round out, assist your team, and that's exactly what they did. He was still able to get that early kill, but really it didn't bag them much when it came to the round. But jumping into round 7 now, we've switched sides, folks. DarkZero and SSG both switching over. SSG now on defense. We're gonna have an early kill here as Canadian gets taken out. Not having the greatest day.
Fortunately not. Levauk, though, is still going to have some useful utility after death. Just was hoping he could stay alive for a little bit longer there. That is going to set DarkZero up for an initial 5v4 advantage here, along with full upstairs control already going into their core. You still have Rampy holding on the first floor here on the inside of bathrooms to secure himself pretty well as well with the reinforcements there. So it's going to be some time before he is flushed out down the hatch and into the site. And that's an area where I'm assuming SSG is looking to try and waste quite a bit of time if they can. Now you can see Skies with the top-down angle trying his best to isolate out Rampy, if at all possible, but not going to be able to find that so easily. The drone will, of course, confirm his position, and he'll just decide to fall back. He's going to, you know, not really feel like taking the fight, especially when you consider they're already down a player. He can find much more success, hopefully, later on in the round with a good position, potentially a free kill against a member of DarkZero who's not looking at him. So much better to take that potential risk instead of just taking the outright fight from a player on the inside of the bathroom, and then more than likely going down to a trade a couple seconds later with their opponents still having the man advantage.
Well, sub-minute now for DarkZero with this very interesting operator lineup, bringing two ops we don't see too often, specifically the Blitz that we definitely don't see a lot of, but Dope coming in as well. Don't see her presence too often inside of North America, but we see her in quite a few other regions. But Eclipse is already out of those phone calls, so he's just another woman with another gun. So we'll have to see how impactful he can possibly be here with those 3 stuns. Getting all of the vertical play set up now for this execute. That early pick onto Canadian could help them, or it could leave them worse for wear as Canadians now on cam duty. This could be what they need in order to stop this plant from going down. Hot and Cold trying to destroy as much intel as possible as Mint does what he does best, sprints in as Blitz, but Hot and Cold planting in a very peculiar spot. The Nitro Cell goes out, but it actually ends up downing him. Bosco and the rest of the SSG squad run right through DarkZero. The plant stuck by the metal box, and SSG lock out round 7.
I appreciate the creativity from DarkZero, but unfortunately it just comes to a screeching halt with pretty much a single Nitro Cell that takes out both the planter and the Blitz that was looking to defend said planter. Doesn't leave any additional time as well, since they executed with about 15 seconds left to try and get another player on that diffuser and get it onto the ground. So another loss is taken there by DarkZero. SSG soar ahead once again, now with the lead in their control. Start off the defensive half at 4-3. Definitely had us going for a minute there, though. It was looking like the beginning of a successful take. Unfortunately, just did not account for the defender utility, it seemed.
No, definitely not. SSG just choosing right in that situation. And it's very hard to tell if they had the actual intel on where the plant was going down there, just because there was so much utility being used all at the same time. They did get rid of the Evil Eye though, but don't exactly know if they ended up seeing him from somewhere else or if it was just possibly a lucky choice on that Nitro cell. Operator lineup now for DarkZero looking a lot more kosher. Don't have anything too unorthodox here. We are going to have the Buck play, though. That's somebody that we don't see too often anymore since he lost his frag grenades, but still just as impactful with that skeleton key.
Yep, can still assist in the utility dump as well. As you're going to see, there's like 12 flashes right now on the attackers, so quite a bit of emphasis being put on that, and probably quite a bit of usefulness going to come out of those flashes in this round, actually, when you consider there is not going to be any denial on that, either in the form of a Jaeger or a Lamai, which is usually why you see so many flashes brought onto an attacker-sided team. This could mean DarkZero had the potential to overwhelm, just with flashbangs, the vision of some of the members of SSG if they need to take over a specific angle.
Well, now as we jump into the round, SSG still setting up the site. Ended up bringing the Kaid as well to lock down the hatches to restrict access to the basement for DarkZero. See exactly what their clear is going to be. SSG bringing the Mira downstairs as well. Both Miras being set up downstairs, one inside of electrical room, which I haven't seen actually ever since playing on Consulate for this split site. So we'll see if that works out. It seems like a very good spot for that Mira, is that actually will be able to see all the way down the lockers hallway to the bottom of the admin stairs, which could definitely assist them in quite a few different instances.
All 3 X-Kairos is used there by Hot in the meantime in order to get that basement angle opened up and a little bit more play potential for DarkZero, but as you might expect, no one from SSG is really going to challenge that. They're much more going to look for fights at the choke points that happen at the central hall here in the basement, or in probably a couple other areas too. That on top of the fact that there is pretty much no pressure from DarkZero on those breaches at this point in time, so not really anything to worry about anyway. It's going to start to change soon here though. Skies is moving in, is getting himself swift control over the yellow stairs. Not alone in that either. There's another player just outside of the yellow stair entryway that I believe is going to be assisting with him in that push if they do decide to go that way. Still 2 minutes left in the round, of course, so DarkZero have plenty of time for figuring out how exactly they would like to approach this attack.
Absolutely loving this setup from SSG here. You can see their secondary utility on the right-hand side of your screen. 4 Nitro cells for the SSG lineup. Only 1 shield being brought by Bosco, but he doesn't exactly need it. 10-1 and 2 right now. Extremely impactful overall on this map. But for SSG, it's lying in wait until DarkZero can attempt to put a plant down and try and blow them sky high. Mick going to get quite a bit of intel downstairs as to the setup of SSG, as all of them are currently corralled inside of server.
See a little bit more of that top-down play potential coming in, along with the smokes, which work perfectly for SSG and around in the last half.
What?
Is it going to work out for DZ? That Nitro Cell somehow doesn't kill Houghton. Doesn't even do a single point of damage to him as far as I can tell either. That's going to be a very unfortunate turn of events for SSG, but it'll play very heavily into the hands of DarkZero. Diffuser on the ground. We can see DarkZero picking up kills left and right as well. Canadian gets a team kill in there as well. The day just continues to get worse for him. Mint now with a double there. It's all on to Thinking Nade at this point in a 1v5 scenario. Gonna try to do his best, but it just won't work. And we will see DarkZero come out on top for round number 8.
I don't even know what to really analyze about that round besides the Nitro still not killing a Habana. That was that was something else right there. I don't even really know what to say about that. It seemed as though the explosive was placed on the opposite side of the flooring, like near the hallway where obviously the flooring's concrete and not soft destruction, and maybe like the radius just didn't catch him properly there. But to not get a single hit point of damage off of that Habana there, very, very lucky there. Hot and Cold is actually the one that needs to go buy a lottery ticket.
Couple players on a DZ potentially dealing with that. Seems one from SSG as well. Couple lucky breaks to get away with here, but hey, that'll play into DZ's favor, as it'll bring them back into the fold. It'll make this match closer, bring us into a 4-4 scoreline, getting us into the next round here. SSG is going to have to try and make up for that now.
Impressive round for DarkZero overall, but for SSG, you have to commiserate their patience in that basement to just sit there, not try and get overly aggressive, allow DarkZero to take that map control, and then just try and deal with it based off of that utility usage that they had. But, you know, that's what happens sometimes with that utility usage. It just goes sideways in a very unexpected manner. So you kind of watch that one and just go, okay, you know, things happened. Luckily enough, though, Canadian got his first kill of the game. It just so happened to be on his teammate. So very unfortunate. But now he's on Doc. So he's been promoted. We'll have to see if it works out for him. I just want to see Canadian get a kill. That's truly what I want to see right now, just so he has more impact than comms and obviously everything else he does for this team. This game is a hell of a lot more than it is kills, but you still want to see somebody get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that 0 should really be a -1 right now, if we're being real about it. But I don't know if we're tracking it that way. So.
Pulse was just doing too good. He had to, you know, move his KD down a little bit.
Had to bring him down.
Humble his teammate real quick, you know.
All right, folks, going into this round here, already 30 seconds deep, and DarkZero focusing a lot of their presence on the droning over here towards admin. Thankfully for them, they are going to find it to be completely empty, as SSG, as you might expect in this type of site hold, is going to be focusing that hold on the other side of the second floor and closer to the inside of the projector site, where we so often see teams hold on the second floor. Not alone in that, though. Like I said, there are players holding on the other side of the building, too, and that's going to come in the form of Canadian on that rock, holding currently between the bathroom and the yellow stairs.
But a cheeky angle there from Canadian from the bathroom, but that people aren't usually ready for. Well, at least presence there, but being prone with a punch hole is a whole different story. Definitely going to want a drone to help him in that. But now DarkZero getting plenty of intel upstairs. They know that Thinking Nade's playing the smoke inside of Projector. Still plenty of time to be able to deal with him as well. Lots of utility still on the board, but has utility inside to get rid of these projectiles. Oh, first one in, but oh, a shot from Bosco through connector to suicide balcony, takes down Skies, and Rampy's going to get one of his own as well.
Bosco potentially still looking for another pick as well. We're going to see the discs eat up quite a few of the flashbangs that are being thrown in. Has himself the ADS as well to support in the event that more utility is going to be chucked to the inside behind his shield. So remain safe despite that fact. Though we're going to see a few more players from SSG start to rotate as they feel they have greater control over the round at the moment. And they're correct to assume that. All the way being down to a 5 versus 3. Thinking Nade is getting into position there for a quick heal up. He took a fight before. Houghton now going to get dropped by Canadian. Unfortunately for Canadian, he's going to be trapped outside for a second. Looks like he gets back in safely, but no, not the case. He'll be taken out by Eclipse. Thankfully for him, there's a pretty much instant trade from Bosco. And the final kill of the round may not be too far away here, as Eclipse has already been put into the hot seat at the yellow stairs entry and is under 25 HP.
Twisting and turning on yellow, as you said. I don't see this going any way but down, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Bolts ends up getting the last kill, and SSG power forward once again, currently at 5-4. Great round there from SSG, and Canadian finally making some impact in the kill department. It just took him hopping out of a window to do so. But in that situation, that's exactly what you're looking for. When you're up that many men, taking down another member and getting traded out is not the worst thing in the entire world. So looks like we're going to be headed back downstairs here after that round. Good utility clear there from DarkZero, but the early picks really hurt them there, especially with Eclipse trying to deal with the men inside of Projector as well as Connector upstairs. Burned through all of his utility trying to get rid of that shield for Connector, and they already had all of those Wamai discs and those ADSs prepped. Was not able to have an impact on that, so ended up having to shift his gears over to the other side of the map, and that's exactly where he ended up finding his casket on yellow stairs. So for DarkZero, it might just be slowing down earlier on in trying to get those crossfires to get those kills onto SSG. It seems that SSG keeps being allowed to get these early picks. Don't exactly know how DarkZero's going to fix that, I'll be completely honest with you, mainly because a lot of these things have been happening off screen, but we'll have to see going into these next few rounds if they're able to make an adjustment.
So usual setups being done at the moment by SSG. Nothing crazy when it comes to this basement hold at the moment. Pretty much your standard hold when it comes to being able to hold onto this one. The bathroom right there being set up with four reinforcements, excuse me, in order to make it capable for Rampy, I believe, to be holding in here. If not him, then Bosco or another member will do it as well. Just setting up these shields and whatnot so that the player who's going to hold it, which I believe will be Rampy, can sit right behind the hatch or right in front of the hatch, and if trouble comes, can back right up. The only thing he'd really have to worry about is hard breach from any of those 4 walls, which were just reinforced against him.
4 reinforcements dedicated up here, but Obviously, it requires a lot more than that to lock down the bathroom fully, so they're still going to have access to it from Z, as well as the main door. Rest of the reinforcements dedicated downstairs to assist in the mirror game, as well as keeping the garage locked, but that's not going to stick around for too long, as Hotten's already torching down the wall, and the right panel's already been made soft. Now working on the left as well. Hotten making very quick work of these. And it looks like he's also just going to make a hop hole here on the left. I like how a lot of people have been thinking out of the box when it comes to their torching recently. It used to be we only saw people just create the soft wall. There was really no, hops or anything like that created, but people have really been getting creative with this.
When you first get to like the Macy J breach era of
man.
Maverick usage.
Oh, that was, I completely forgot about that.
And you combine Maverick and Havana to make like giant holes.
I completely forgot that was even a thing. I'm going to be really honest with you. That's from like 8 months ago now. Oh,
yeah, that was a while back that he put that video. I thought that was really creative.
Can COVID-19 be done? These last 6 months have just been flying by. It's like the shortest and longest 6 months of my entire life.
Well, hopefully we can speed that up for you. And in the meantime, this round's going to start to speed up a little bit as there is a bit of pressure coming from DarkZero in from that yellow stairs doorway. No sign of a committed push anywhere, though. Still a minute and 15 seconds left, so DarkZero not necessarily forced to do this either. A lot of droning, as you can see, quite a few people outside on their phones right now. About 3 of them, in fact. It's going to open up some dangerous possibilities here. Canadian positions this Nitro Cell correctly. It's going to be a bit off the mark, though, just a bit too far away from players like Mint and Hot. And now, with that gone, 3 men are going to start pushing their way to the inside of the site, pushing primarily from the side of White Van. Toxic Gas Grenade that will move in should deny the plant on top of executing another player. Hotten's going to get dropped right here. And just like that, it's all on Disguise in a 1v4 scenario. Not much hope once again for a DarkZero victory and a stronghold for SSG to potentially take this. Skies is all alone with 35 seconds left.
Canadian also adding insult to injury inside of that round. Very weird adjustment there from Hotten. Obviously, Hyper getting taken out, so was a touch scared that he didn't have any more cover, so ended up getting off of that diffuser plants. But that's going to be all she wrote for the round as Canadian gets a triple. Shows up on that scoreboard inside of round 10. But just a very awkward attempt to plant there from DarkZero that got dealt with pretty quickly by SSG.
And it seemed like they were very prepared for it too. Like there was a good 30, 40 seconds before that where not much was happening. And as far as I could tell, we had like 3, if not 4 players on drone trying to get intel. So they should have had everything they needed to make that work. And they seemed very convinced of their strategy when they went in. Unfortunately, seemed like it was not the case as SSG shuts it down without too much of an issue. And that's going to put them up on map point here for the very first map.
Well, now we're headed to the split site to see if SSG can lock things out. Last time, Nitro Cell did not end up working out for them to get that kill, but now SSG also going to be adopting Oryx into the lineup. See if they go about things in a similar fashion to what DarkZero did. But you guys also saw that 6 pick off of the Lion over to the Ying. So Mint going to be adopting that into the lineup, bringing this Candelas and Smokes, which can have a large impact on the round. Specifically in the execute department, she assists quite well in that.
Got the Oryx also being brought in here by Fultz. A similar flare being brought in that we also saw from DarkZero on the previous half here. That's going to be used for the split site as well. Something that I think we might end up start seeing because, I mean, I've obviously never thought of it previously. I'm not a pro player. What do you think about Oryx in this situation? It actually makes, pretty perfect sense when you consider the capability that would come from him and his ability to rotate, especially if you leave a lot of the basement to first floor hatches unreinforced. That's a lot of play potential for whoever's on Oryx in that round.
Wait, hold on. You're a commentator and you're not a professional player? That's blasphemous.
Yeah, no, unfortunately. I'm like hard stuck gold, so it's rough out here.
Maybe you should just play Oryx. That could help you.
Yeah, on consulate split site.
Listen, you just watch Fultz and then you just mimic what Fultz does. That's what everyone says when they start improving at Siege. Like, oh yeah, I just watched this one guy and I started playing like them. I can't argue with that. I did the exact same thing. I literally just watched Ness play Ash over and over again. I was like, oh, so that's how you play the game. Okay, cool. So that was really it. But yeah, some very interesting picks in between these two teams, but we expected that walking into this matchup that they were going to show quite a few tricks up their sleeve that we hadn't seen inside of the regular season. I'm glad that it's starting so early on, though. SSG still locked up downstairs for the most part, trying to see if all of their presence is here. Bosco going to be playing Spiral this time instead of playing near the butt end of server. Quite a large presence here, all except for Fultz, who's on an extended roam and trying to be the thorn in the side of DarkZero.
Skies, of course, looking to try and counter out positions of some of the SSG players that are also rotating around. Houghton, in the meantime, already going for a plant. Okay, he cancels that one as it is caught by someone from SSG. Nearly gets killed on the top-down angle, but good attempt there. Tries to sneak it off. Canadian still here, though. He sees it going off. Is the Nitro Cell going to be thrown? Yes, it is. There's the first denial that's going to go on to the ground. We're also going to see a flash or a Candela going down to hopefully trying to blind the players. Does it work? It looks like it may have done the case. A lot of trades happening here as DarkZero is also trying to take downstairs control at the same time. Diffuser goes onto the ground. Trades go all over the place still. And eventually it's rounded down into a 2 versus 2. SSG's got a pretty heavy HP advantage on this one though, but Mint is also at full HP, which gives him an easy capability to clutch this out at 1v2 should Skies fail. Otherwise, Skies in the meantime is actually going to save Mint's life right there as he quickly takes out Bosco with the upstairs angle, and now everything is going to fall to Canadian in the 1v2.
Canadian coming up admin, but he's already been caught off guard by the camera, or at least caught inside of vision. Only 10 seconds remaining now, and he needs 7 in order to defuse. Sticks it once, flicks around to see if he can possibly find an angle, but not even able to get the one shot on his Skies required to kill him. DarkZero went out round 11 on some very intelligent Candela usage that was almost botched at first.
Very, very well played there by DarkZero. Very chaotic round as well. That's one that people are going to have to look back on, I think, to get a full picture as to what exactly happened there, as both the plant upstairs and pressure downstairs was being applied simultaneously. It's not something that's easy to do, so once again, props to DarkZero. That is one area that we talked about in the pregame, the strategical area. That's where DZ often excels. It's just the individual part where sometimes it falls down a little bit, but that was not the case in the previous round. They come out very successfully, net themselves another round, and put it within 1 round's reach of taking this to OT on the first map.
That's the strangest thing about DarkZero. I messed up this stat so often inside of the regular season because we never see anything like this, but DarkZero's worst half was actually their defensive side. They are impressive on offense. 56.6% success rate on their offensive rounds with only a 46.8% defensive win rate. So again, it's just a very weird thing when it comes down to it, but inside of this map alone, they've definitely shown that they can go toe-to-toe with the champions of the entire world.
Certainly showing a general improvement as well from the previous weeks of play. DarkZero are looking good. It's going to be the question we'll answer over the next 3 days here. Is it a championship, good or not? Or is SSG and one of the other teams as well still potentially in that position as they were just a few months ago back in Montreal? A few more seconds left here before we are going to let the attackers out of the gates. The hold itself looks pretty straightforward for the piano and lobby hold that I believe we are working with right now. It's got a lot of emphasis on that upstairs hold for Thinking Nate to hold on to, along with more than likely a few other players that are also going to be here supporting him like Bosco.
Feels good to be back commentating a major, seeing all of the siege action once again. We're not starting the day off slow, and that's exactly what I was worried about. Everyone, you know, gamer hours, all that such thing, trying to wake up early on, you know, folks yawning earlier as well, and some of us being tired, making sure you're grabbing that extra cup of coffee, but everyone seems to be on their game today. 30 seconds off of the clock already. See exactly how DarkZero are going to have an impact here. What were you going to say, my friend? I'm sorry.
No, you can go ahead. It wasn't anything important. So.
It's always important to me, John.
I was going to make a bad joke.
It's always important to me. Make your bad joke, John.
I was going to say, like, oh, it's like 10:30 now, so everyone's used to waking up at this point. Everybody's probably getting their energy now.
Probably. I don't know about you, but I've been waking up at like 2 p.m. I'm on real summer hours here, so...
It's the earliest I've been up in a while, that's for certain. But it's for a good cause here in some action at the Rainbow Six Major. Starting off this round a little bit slowly, as you might expect on a site like this. Quite a bit of work to be done from DarkZero all over the map, both on the second and first floor. So the focus right now is, as usual, clearing out the player on the inside of Meeting and Projector. Already talked about this in the beginning of the round. Thinking Nate holding it right now. He's going to throw out the first of those toxic gas grenades to deny vision, first of all, and more importantly, a peek from the player that is on repel for that window. This should also leverage the capability, or rather, stop the players that are pushing from admin. We're pushing him out here as well. We are going to see one of the Capital Firebolts thrown directly in front of him. It's not going to force him out of position, though, but eventually he does swing over to the hatch and safely make it back downstairs. That's still going to leave Bosco in position, though, by Connector, and he's going to be even more dangerous now that he does not have the support of his teammate anymore.
This is such a beautiful setup upstairs to delay so much time from SSG. We've seen it before already inside of this game, but we didn't really notate the importance of the Wamai inside of this Connector. Obviously, since Wamai gets those discs over time, he continuously throws out the Wamai disc to be able to counter Capital bolts, frag grenades, or whatever gets thrown their way in order to stop the man from playing Bosco's spot at the back of Projector. But obviously, he's already left. Canadian as well as Bosco still upstairs. But Bosco, what a nice shot onto Hyper. Canadian actually ends up getting down. Will he be able to dock himself up? He will. Oh no, but gets taken down by Hot and Cold from the skylight. Very low on time now as they still need to get this diffuser down.
Coming down to the wire here with 20 seconds remaining. SSG simply need to fend off the inevitable here and stop Houghton or whoever's going to end up with the diffuser from putting that onto the ground. Skies is right at the front door trying to support for his teammate here. Now as Houghton is going to go for the quarter plant. In they go. 10 seconds left. Where's the denial at? They don't have control over Projector anymore. No, scratch that. Fultz is going to get in a position to stop it. No one else can hop onto the diffuser in time. They will pick it up, but are they going to be able to start the plant? No, it's not quick enough, and the player goes down to the gas anyway. SSG clutch out. Round number 12, finishing it in the final round of regulation play. They take control of Consulate in the very first map of the series with a final scoreline of 7-5.
Great first map by both of these teams, but SSG just edging them out. Some great play there, especially on the utility.